Well, hello and welcome. We're coming to you live from Auckland Park, Johannesburg. You're now watching SA Today with me, Unati Bagyashe. Well, we continue with our rolling coverage of the Gajiso shutdown. Scores of disgruntled community members are currently protesting against high levels of crime in Mogale City in the northwest, illegal mining and undocumented foreign nationals. They've been raiding abandoned mines where it's believed the so-called zamas are hiding. My colleagues Griselda Lewis, Hasina Gori, together with Newambete and Gabi Njokweni are at the scene, bringing us up-to-the-minute coverage on the shutdown. Those visuals that you're currently seeing on your screen are from a little bit earlier on, of course. Angry community members burnt down those informal structures supposedly belonging to the zamas, illegal foreigners that are being blamed for the high levels of crime in that area. Now, earlier we also spoke to Gauteng Police Commissioner General Elias Mawela. He spoke to the SABC, indicating he was on his way to the scene. He said from his end at the time that the situation was under control, but as we've seen, for the past 2 hours or so, there were no police officers from our vantage point, and community members, of course, very angered by what is happening, calling for Police Minister Bekicele to come to the area to address their concerns. Now, just for some background, this latest protest follows the gang rape of 8 women who were part of a production crew shooting a music video with some of their other colleagues in the area. They were working on site when the attack took place last Thursday near the mine dump in Krugersdorp. We'll also be speaking later on in the program to Mogale City local municipality mayor Tyrone Gray. He indicated he was in the area. Now, as you know, we understand one person was killed this afternoon. It's not yet clear at this stage if he was part of the community members or if he is a foreign national, but we do understand from some reports that the mayor did give that he was dressed in so-called mining clothes, indicating that he could actually be in fact part of the zama. All right, as I've indicated earlier on, our reporters are currently on the ground. Let's now cross to one of them. Griselda Lewis is in Gajiso at the moment. Griselda, thank you so much for your time. Give us the very latest. And as you do, Griselda, you'll remember that General Commissioner Elias Mawela indicating to us there that he was on his way to the scene. Is he there? What's the latest?
Well, from what we know at this stage, General Elias Mawela has not yet arrived here. My colleague Hasina Gori will take you live to that address by the Provincial Police Commissioner once he does arrive in this area. But as you can see here, community members have moved to this particular area now, who's in this particular area. And basically what they are saying is that they're going to move to areas where these zamas are renting spaces in this particular area. And essentially they're saying that they are not going to allow many of the community members. Let me bring in Sanko in this area while the community is there. Baba, yes. My
name is Ayanda Kirunyaka, the regional convener in the West Rand. Yes.
Talk to us about the situation here. The community now says they are heading to this area where these zamas are renting in this particular area. They want them out of this area.
Yes, it's true. Okay, no. As I speak now, since last year, we have a March 2021 to hand the memorandum in police station in Krugersdorp. So now the issues one is zama ekhona la ihlala la phakathi kwethu and bayirendisile the community, and then is defending some of, we understand, in terms of the poverty, whatever. But the problem is now the zama is killing our people each and every time. So we send a message today for the Minister Begitele to make sure that the zamas must be out into this country. We are sick and tired. So the people is no longer be in freedom, this Mogale City.
I see that you've been calling for General Begitele to come here himself. Yes. We understand that the Provincial Police Commissioner, General Elias Mawela, yes, is coming here. Yes. Do you welcome that as the community?
Yes, we're more welcome as long we're coming to that bring the solution, because of you are sick and tired as a community. I remember last day Begitele were coming to oversee in Krugersdorp. At least you are doing well, the Minister of the Begitele, to make sure the community of Mogale will be safety. So now you are here in Mogale again, Mobile and Soul City. That is a serious matters, must be attend immediate effect. So we are pleading all the community around here today, please don't go to demolish the shop of the foreigners, please. So that's only issue today, the program. That's to make sure that the zamas must be kicked out. Not the shop in foreigners, please. I plead for the community.
All right, Sanko in this area pleading for the community not to demolish the shops of those belonging to foreign nationals. I would just want to take you to a place here where you would see there is some of the fires that have been set here. I know these are some of the areas where there have been these holes that have been opened in this area. I'm going to take you a little bit closer here. You will be able to see, you'd find here in this particular area some of the holes that have been closed in this area. And I see now there's some fires that have been set alight in this particular area, while some...
Right, we seem to have lost Criselda Lewis there, but of course these are developing scenes that you are seeing on our screens now. We will definitely go back to her as soon as we establish that contact. But let's now take you to Hasina Gori. Hasina, you are in Soul City. How far is it from where Criselda is currently? Because we know that these protests are quite widespread in Gajiso itself. Talk to us about exactly where you are and what are community members telling you?
Good afternoon. We are at the onset of where Criselda and the community have now delved into the illegal mining operations and worked their way inside the actual abandoned mine dumps. Those visuals that you've seen throughout the day coming through from inside the mine shafts, as well as some of the areas where the processing was being done. But also now we are alongside that township that was where those shacks were burnt earlier in the day. It's where the community says they found equipment and operations of these illegal miners and have demolished that area. They also said that's where we also seen these arrests of some of these illegal miners in the community. The shutdown has been ongoing from the morning. We've moved through some parts of Gajiso. We were at the other side earlier on the main road where that road was blockaded with burning tires as well as rocks. From the early hours of the morning, police had used rubber bullets as well as tear gas to disperse the crowd. But right now, we've seen through the day the police contingent slowly building up. Behind me, I'm sure you can see quite a number of police officers have now been deployed here as well. We're seeing that tactical unit being brought in as well. We also see a lot of private security who have been parked on the other side as well, a large number. There was also a helicopter in the air, at least two of them. One of them, they were shooting rubber bullets at this crowd earlier in the afternoon. But on a bring in to get a sentiment from the community. One of the leaders that we've been speaking through the day, thank you so much for speaking to us. Why was it important for you to come out here and add your voice to the streets today?
Hi Hasina. So what was important for us today was for the police force to actually do their job and for this illegal zamas to go back wherever they come from. That was our mandate. So today the community felt like they've been taking memorandums. Over 5 memorandums have been dropped by different structures and organizations, but without any intervention from the police. That's when the community itself, this is a community-led protest protest, said, no, enough is enough. It's about time we take the law upon our hands and do what is right. Like we said, our intentions was not to vandalize, to do it. No. Our intentions were straight and clear. Our target was zamas, nothing else. To close wherever they operate, to destroy the structures that they've been using, and to chase them away from our immediate community.
Can you tell me, you said that 5 memorandums have been handed over. What exactly are the demands in those memorandums, and who is it handed to?
The memorandums were received by the police commissioner, Madhuna. And the memorandum were clear. The community of Soul City specifically, remembering the latest one, they wrote down their needs and demands to say we are living in fear. We are raped not just once in a while, every day. Other people, even this rape, it's like now it's a norm to say when this group moves and the other group moves, it's like, then that's when we felt this is Women's Month. And we as the leader, the men, the women of our community, we then decided what? We're going to stand up for this and we're going to come here irrespective. We didn't have arms. We fought it without any ammunition whatsoever.
I want to bring in, you speak about rape, here happening in this community. We know that the protest action that has taken place and the demonstrations that we see come after 8 women were gang raped on Thursday last week at an abandoned mine shaft that brought media attention as well as attention from government structures as well as from the police to act. But for this community, we've been hearing throughout the weekend and through the week that this is a normal occurrence. I want to bring in a lady who I spoke to a little earlier as well, who explained to us that this is a reality of her life here, as well as she and her family have been victims of rape as well. Ma'am, you spoke to me earlier and you said that your daughter was a victim of rape in this area. Can you tell me about that incident?
Yes, ma'am. My child was raped in 2019 by this gang of zamas. I cannot tell you how numbers they were, but apparently through the reports, there were so many of them. They raped my child so misfully, and then they killed my child. I could say like a chicken. Ke botlhoko wa bana today gore ke be ke eme fa pele ga community ne ke bua ntho e ke buang today. Ha ke eme fa nna ka re police station ya rona ne ya mfaila, because those criminals, they're still roaming around.
Were there any arrests made? Were there anyone that was brought to justice?
Nothing was brought into justice. Nothing at all till today. That is why you see me here today. I'm fighting for that justice. I'm still fighting for justice of my child, you see.
And just to come in, this will not end here. You see, just like Mama came forth and spoke, tonight Mama will be victimized. That's our only problem. So we don't want Mama to be victimized. Hence, we're also pleading upon the police sector and our public safety to say, please, visibility is needed within Soul City so that these people will feel safe tonight. Most people are scared to actually speak out because they know quite well such events okay, it's a one-day thing and it's like it was done for publicity stunt and all that. This is not a publicity stunt. Hence we said, if we rather die, then so be it. Every liberation that has happened, yes, we've had casualties. But today we are unarmed, like we said, and I'm very proud of this very brave community of Gajiso. They approach zamas without guns while the zamas are shooting at them. And hence I'm saying the police should learn, and the police should also learn to work hand in hand with the community.
Tell me about the community of Soul City. Who are those that live in that specific area?
That's a great question. We will first start by blaming our municipality. This place is called Tudo Shaft. This is a radiation active place. This is the only place that still has uranium, which we know it affects our stream going down to the river that goes to Val. So these people, there was a program that was actually implemented way back. I'm just not sure where houses were built. To say it was 2016. To say they will be removed from this place to extension 13. But then the problem is one. Most people are not moved. Others they move. Even us as the community is a problem. I rent my old place to a zamazama. So we are also pleading to the community to say, speak out about these people. We know even if you are renting them in your yard, you do not live peacefully. So speak out so that we will come and we will assist you.
Thank you so much. That was one of the community members here speaking to us on some of the issues that have been plaguing this community for quite a long time. We also heard from one of the community ladies telling us she lost her child. Her child was raped in 2019 and then she was killed. She still doesn't know how many people committed this act, and says that those that have perpetuated this kind of act against her family, no justice was brought as yet. No one has been arrested, and this has been a story we've heard not just from this one lady but from many that live in this area. As you heard, the area we're standing on is still an active mine site that has been left by the mining company. The mine was abandoned and now has been occupied by these clandestine activities and illegal miners who are now here. I see the police are behind us at the moment. They have gathered. It seems that they're going to be really addressing this crowd. They have been really demanding from the police that they feel that they've been neglected. So hopefully we'll get to listen into them when they do address this crowd. We heard from the community saying they've handed at least 5 memorandums over to the police station. We heard them saying that this police station is completely useless when it comes to responding to their issues. But for now, this is an ongoing story, Flo. We will keep you abreast as it develops, but also when the police do address this community. Back to you in studio.
Right, Hasina Gori there, of course, she's coming to us from the other side where Griselda Lewis is also in the vicinity and basically speaking to residents there of Soul City. As you can see, a different scene from what we've seen earlier. Now there is a heavy police presence. We spoke to the Gauteng commissioner earlier on who said that he was on his way. We understand they'll be addressing, some of the community members there. Of course, harrowing scenes coming out from there in terms of the conversations that our journalists are having with community members, saying they have been battling for years to get the attention of law enforcement authorities. Let's take you now to Griselda Lewis, who is standing by. Griselda, earlier we saw scenes where community members were closing down holes, mine shafts that have been abandoned there, that have been used by zamas. Now the concern comes in, are there people in those mine shafts? What are community members telling you?
Well, absolutely, Unati, and I think the fear at this particular stage, you'll have a look just here behind me. I'm going to step out of shot for just a second and ask my colleague Neombende just to zoom in on what you see here. These are some of the fires that have been set here, not by community members, but the community is telling me in these particular areas is where you would find these holes. You'll see that fire just raging there at this point. We're going to try and make sure that we don't get too close to that. This is where some of these mine shafts are that are being used by these zamas to enter here and conduct this illegal activity. I see that it's spreading a little bit towards where we are. We're going to try to remain safe at this particular time. But indeed, what community members have been doing over the past 2 hours or so at the moment, they have been moving to various areas to try and close some of those open shafts of those disused mines. And they're saying they're doing that because they've been asking authorities to do it for the longest time, and that has not happened. They've taken matters into their own hands at this particular point. I'm just going to move a little bit away from here because this fire seems to be spreading towards where we are at this stage. I'm going to try and move from where I am. I must say this fire was not set by community members, but the reason why I moved towards here is because community members have told me that it's in areas like this where this illegal activity is taking place. Maybe I could bring in one of the community members. Puti, if the children can just move away from there, please. The fire is spreading towards this area. Baba, iyona le ndawo la abantu bangena khona imigodi nawo akhona apha kule ndawo.
Basically, it's an open cast. It's where they are doing their daily operations. There's bottles and machines here. They connect electricity right here to our neighbors here. So it's where they basically do their daily operations after extracting the diamond inside the mine shaft. Yeah. Yes.
see this fire spreading towards this particular area there. In just a few moments ago, asked my colleague Neombende to come this direction. You'd see there, it's spreading quite fast. That is where some of these disused mines are, where... okay, let's try and move. Where some of these disused mines are, where this illegal activity is taking place. It's moving quite fast. Baba, this is where part of the problem is.
What I was trying to say is that basically is where they are doing their mining operations here. After extracting the diamond, or maybe the sand inside their mine, they come and clean it here using the bottles and all these kind of things, the materials that they are using here. This is where basically they are stationed in order to perform those kind of things. Yes.
So now as the community, I mean, very little has been done to try, sorry Sisi, to try and close these spaces, this fire spreading. Do you think that whatever the police will say today will be able to, you know, soothe the pain that you are feeling as community members? Just a second. If the children can just move away from the fire, please. Do you think that, do you feel that anything that the police will say today would be able to soothe your pain as community members over the crime and illegal activity that is taking place here?
It is not enough, because you know what is happening around here. In some instance, you'll find the police coming here. We don't know whether they are coming here to get the money from these people, but on daily basis, we see the police coming inside here with their vans. We don't know whether they are coming to collect the money, and after they left, these people, they are carrying on with their duties as usual. So whatever that they will be saying today, it's nothing, it's not enough, because they are not even at the ground as we speak right now. It's us, the community and the media. So it is not enough. It is not enough. I think the soldiers, if the minister can send the soldiers here, as much as they were able to allocate the soldiers during the corona pandemic, and they were able to control the entire community with few soldiers. Can't they at least send few soldiers to be here on the daily basis, at least to be able to control these illegal activities, mining illegal activities that are taking place in our communities.
All right, and that has been the general call. Thank you very much, Baba, for your time. That has been the general call here. I've heard that several times now, where the community has been asking for soldiers to be brought in this area. They often raise the issue of COVID-19, saying that, you know, when a government had felt there needed to be a deployment of the South African National Defence Force here and to various areas around the country to try and deal with the situation, they believe that there's cause for soldiers to be deployed in a situation where they believe that crime is really out of control, the illegality that is taking place, the issue of foreign nationals in these areas, zamas that have been operating in this area for the longest time, and not just here, but also in other areas on the east Rand as well. We're on the West Rand, that's the area where we are. And this area where we are now, you see, community members have come to this area called Singobile, and this is where they say some of these zamas. Let's just take a look at what is taking place here. Let's see. There seems to be cables here. 1 second, please. What exactly is this? I see a cable has been brought here.
Okay, le cable le ibuye esigangeni. Kusho ukuthi benzani? Badonsa ipower lapha emandleni for business, for zamazama. So now we take this one. That is why you are here. Is ilapha. Yes, that is the issue of ukuthi badonsa power from emandleni power.
So this cable, just very quickly before I take it back to you in studio, the community says this cable, electrical wire, is what is being used to pull electricity from the homes here into those mine shafts where the illegal mining is taking place. We'll come back to you very shortly. I understand that you've got the mayor on the line. Let's hear what the sentiment is there, and I'm sure you'll come back to Gajiso with us live here just very shortly.
Our reporters there on the ground, that's Criselda Lewis, and of course earlier on we spoke to Hasina Agori. As Criselda said, let's bring in now this conversation just to get the latest on the ground. We're now joined by the Mogale City Executive Mayor, Councillor Tyrone Gray. He's on the line. Mayor, I mean, you've heard the community members, what they're saying. Since last Thursday, you've been on the ground. It seems like this problem is not a surprise. This was meant to happen. What's your reaction to what you're currently seeing in your municipality?
So this was something that I was proactive about from the start. You may know that I did an interview in Newsroom Africa in relation to the interventions I proposed, both from national and provincial. And I'm glad to hear that Minister Mantashe is regularizing the ability to unlock additional resources in terms of the rehabilitation fund, especially for all distressed mining towns, such as Mogale City, such as Merifong, such as Rand West, etc. We, in the interim, about 2 months ago, started with the re-landscaping of the area. I partnered with private security as well as public safety, SAPS, and then we did disruptive activities. This involves removing all of the Izinyoka connections, or, well, illegal electrical connections, which power the motors on the Pandukas. We then confiscate generators, for instance, and destroy the equipment to make it difficult for them to operate in the area. And then we also assist Rand Water in terms of closing some of the leaking pipelines that they wash some of the gold-bearing ore into. However, the matter is there seems to be an issue of almost a cat-and-mouse game. The more we press in one area, the more they migrate to another area. So it needs a whole holistic national intervention in order to finally be cured.
Exactly. So what you are seemingly describing does seem like a short-term kind of measures that have been activated, which probably is the reason why some of them aren't working so well. From a long-term perspective, what is being done about these mines? Are you having conversations with mining companies of these abandoned mines, with government, in terms of how best they were able to rehabilitate these mines so that they cannot, have any use, especially for when we're talking about illegal miners, zamas, having access to them?
Yes, indeed. From a security side of things, we have established the DMCCF, which is the District Mining Crime Combating Forum, under the stewardship of District Commissioner Major General Fred Kakana. We engage with all of the mining companies from Sibanye Steel, Harmony Gold, Amache Mining, all of those, to unlock not only the social responsibility fund, but also to ensure their due diligence is done in terms of rehabilitation of dormant dumps, etc. From the Mogale City side, however, we have gone a step further in that we have engaged with service providers whose exclusive object is to rehabilitate the areas, and then we've also further established a local Section 79 committee called STORM, which is Strategic Tactical Operations Response Management, to coordinate all of these efforts and ensure safety and compliance to the rule of law in general, but in particular cases with the illicit mining trade.
Now, let's just talk about the events that happened today. We understand that one person was killed during these protests. Talk to us about what you know about this particular individual.
So I was actually on site. I'm still on site. I've been on site the whole day. Most of the areas have cooled down. Streets are open. There is still some unrest within Krugersdorp. But the paths are accessible in terms of opening the roads. I am here with public safety. Apologies. Then the individual that I saw, because I was on site, it seems that he had a severe head injury which caused his untimely demise, and the outfit he was wearing was similar to zama clothing. However, I can't confirm whether he is a foreign national or...
All right.
Then in other terms, there was also a lot of vigilantism that took place. I actually cut my hand in involving myself with ensuring that another person didn't lose their life because the community was beating him up and wanted to start necklacing. However, we managed to intervene and take him into a police van and then take him to the Leratong hospital. And then we managed to calm down the community to ensure that should you apprehend any of suspected foreign nationals, that you do so in a manner that also respects their human dignity and don't do any beatings or anything, just restrain them until the police come and detain them.
Mogale City Executive Mayor Councillor Tyrone Gray there, of course, saying that there are several interventions that they have initiated in the area, but it seems that it is not working currently. But let's go back now to one of our reporters, a senior reporter, Griselda Lewis, who is on the ground there for us. Griselda, earlier we were speaking to you, and of course you were taking us through the very latest in terms of those controlled fires that we saw there. What's happening there now?
All right, control flyers, indeed, we've moved away from that particular area, but you can see the community is gathered here now near Singobile, and this is an area where they say these zamas have been renting in this particular area. Just a moment before you went to the mayor, when we were speaking to one of the community representatives, Sanko indicating that they're concerned at this particular point. They're calling on the community not to, attack what they say, because there had been fears at this particular point that some of those holes at the disused mines, there might still be some zamas inside there at this point. The community really doesn't seem too concerned about that at this particular stage, because what they say is they've been asking police to intervene in the situation here, and none of that has happened. And a few moments ago, we're going to take you back to where we were. You will see to show some of the illegal activity that is taking place here. The community has removed this cable, which they say is used for some of the pulling some of the electricity of the houses here, and they would connect this to those mine shafts, where they would want to then light up some electricity to pave the way for them to enter some of those disused mines. So the situation here at the moment, I must say, slightly calmer, but the fear is certainly that this community has indicated here in Singobile, they want to go to those homes where those zamas are renting in this particular area. A great cause for concern. It'll be very interesting to hear. My colleague Hasina Gori will be monitoring where the police commissioner is, the Gauteng Police Commissioner General Elias Mawela, and they welcome the fact that he will be in this area, but there have been long calls since this morning for General Begikele to arrive here, who is the police minister. But in this instance, this community says they're going to continue with their action. And what we will monitor, of course, late into the evening as well, is if the sentiment, whatever sentiment is shared, this community wants solutions from any of the authorities that are coming here. They want something to be said about the illegality, the zamas that have been mining in this particular illegally, and also the issue of illegal foreign nationals just coming into this particular area. What I noticed is that every single road coming into Gajiso has been strewn with rocks and burning tires. They did say it is going to be a shutdown. So the movement inside and outside of this particular area has been very limited. The community has been quite generous to allow us in here to make sure that we're able to get to the areas that have been affected at this particular point. So the situation as it stands at the moment is relatively calm, but community members are here in Singobile and are wanting those foreign. We've spoken about this and that. All right. The community members asking me to speak about this electrical wire that is here. I guess he didn't pick up that part when I spoke about it a little bit earlier on. They want every single angle of this particular story covered. So the situation here relatively calm, but of course we'll see whether the police commissioner, General Elias Mawela, whatever sentiment he shares with the community here, will address some of these concerns and what interventions currently will be put in place. If you take a look towards this area, I'm going to ask the community, you'll see here, there's not a single police officer that is in sight at this point. This community has not been violent ever since I arrived here. They simply want their issues to be addressed, and they're hoping that when General Elias Mawela comes through, he will be able to do that. And Tate, let me speak to you. I was with you at that disused mine. You said you were coming here to Sinqobile to make sure that those who are renting, the zamas who are renting here, are removed from this area. What is your way forward? What do you want General Elias Mawela to say to you as the community to turn things back to a certain sense of normalcy?
No, kwamanje sesiqedile ku-remove yonke into ngapha ne. So like isithola amakhebula la esigangeni la yenza machine la wisa ama-transformer from elokishini. Okay. So sesiqedile ngapha. Sesiqedile manje amakhebula amanye nawo amanye ale yeah, so like sesiqedile yonke into manje, so into kumele sesilambile sikhathele ke manje ngathi ningasilethela nokudla.
I wish the media would be able to provide food for the community. Unfortunately, community member indicating is hungry there. I'm starving here where I am, but I think the issues faced in this community are much more important than the grumblings in my stomach. Come towards this direction. My colleague Newombende is going to be extremely exhausted by the time we are done here. We appreciate the work that she is doing. I'll just try to move towards that area where I understand some of the cables that are used for some of this illegal activity by the zamas has been removed there. I'm going to see if I can't move towards that area. I see some community members who have moved towards the area just right there in front of me. We'll try to take you there as quick as possible, but we'll keep you on our visuals, Unati, while we take a look. And certainly as things unfold here, and once General Elias Mawela arrives here, my colleague Hasina Gori will have that covered for you. Let's see what he has to say about the situation here. In fact, let's go to Hasina Gori, who's on the other side of Gajiso. Hasina?
All right, while we wait for Hasina there, that was Crisalda Lewis. Now, Crisalda is on another part of Gajiso. She is at Sinqobile. It's much quieter where she is. She says the situation is calm. But of course, when we spoke to Hasina earlier on, she's at Soul City. There's a heavy police presence there. As you will recall, police were not there during, the past few hours. But as Crisalda Lewis said, the Gauteng Police Commissioner General Elias Mawela is expected to address residents in that area. But for now, let's get analysis. We are now joined via Zoom by the head of Department of Criminology at the University of Limpopo, Professor Yaku Bakhazen. Professor, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, of course, the community of Gajiso on Gauteng's West Rand having to take it upon themselves to hunt down illegal miners who are operating in the area. You've seen the scenes, you've heard the cries from the community. Is mob justice an indication of a failed justice system, a failed law enforcement system?
Well, research shows us there's a huge trust deficit between the police and the communities. And this trust deficit is starting to creep, unfortunately, into the whole criminal justice system. So obviously what we are seeing is the start of the failure of the criminal justice system. As you've heard yourself, the community members have multiple times went to the police with grievances and nothing has happened. These feelings that the community have is valid, and their valid feelings are not being addressed, and eventually this is what will happen. We as South Africans should be really worried because the idea that is currently in social media and on the media is that South Africans, you're on your own. And the government and the security cluster needs to do something really, really, really fast. to stop this idea and to show an effective police force, a professional police force, and to address communities' very valid fears.
And I would imagine, just going back to what you're saying in terms of trust deficit, it probably does also emanate from the fact that you have a system, a police system, a government, in fact, that tells you this is what we are going to do to address some of your concerns. I mean, I've just earlier spoke to the executive mayor of Mogale City saying that they've got plenty of plans in place, but it seems like those plans aren't working. I mean, in 2020, if I remember correctly, in September, South African Police Service saying they've identified hotspots for gender-based violence. I mean, this is why we are having this conversation ourselves. It's because these protests that we are seeing in Gajiso emanate from that horrific gang rape of those 8 women. Of course, these promises that keep happening on, from government side are the reason probably that we have this trust deficit between community members and law enforcement authorities. Our reporter Criselda Lewis spoke to one member saying to him that the General Commissioner is coming to address you as a community, and he says, we're done. We've closed all the holes that needed to be closed. That's all we needed from police. We've done that. What is he going to say?
That is absolutely right. And it is basically, we need to see things happening. It doesn't help you identify hotspots. It doesn't help you act after a horrific crime scene, send people in. One of the jobs, the fundamental jobs of the South African Police Service is to prevent crime, and then to ensure the safety of all in the Republic of South Africa. Now, with this trust deficit and what's going on in the ground, neither of these fundamental duties are happening. I mean, that poor lady that spoke about her daughter that was raped and murdered, it shows also that there's a lack of understanding on fundamental basic victim rights. We have something called the South African Victim Rights Charter. One of the rights you have as a South African or a victim of crime in South Africa is to offer information. And then another right is to receive information from the criminal justice system. This is not happening. And if the government and the security cluster don't quickly address this growing discontent and this fear of crime, and it's a valid fear. 68 people murdered in the last reports. I mean, people are afraid, and a fearful nation or a fearful population becomes a dangerous population.
Prof. Barkhuizen, I'd like us to pause this conversation now. We'll come back to this conversation, particularly in terms of the government and security cluster. But let's go back now to our journalists who are on the ground. In fact, let's start with Hasina Agori, who is in Seoul City. In fact, let's start with Criselda Lewis. She is in another part of Gajiso. She was earlier on in Mobile. Criselda, what's the latest there where you are?
All right, what you're seeing here at the moment, I'm going to take you closer to some of these visuals. Community members are removing what they say is some of the items that are used by some of these illegal miners in this area. Take a look at this particular area. I'm going to go there at the moment. What is this? I'm struggling. All right, that's a mix. All right, it's some sort of mixer, I'm told. It's some sort of mixer. And I understand that there's also cables that have been put towards this particular area. Just very quickly, I think with my colleague, I'm told to move towards this particular area here, where there are some cables that this community says is stretching from here. Just take a look here. Community members are now removing some of these cables, electrical cables that are being used by illegal miners or zamas in this particular area. They're dismantling everything that makes that operation successful. You'd hardly be able to see it here if you were just walking by, because they're sort of buried inside this grass that is growing here. So this community says they're going to dismantle this entire operation that has been taking place here. And in fact, some of these electrical cables is what is used to pull power from the home, some of the homes here, into those shafts where they are. Let's go towards this area. I'm told there's a particular spot here where part of this main area is.
Come and see.
All right, let's go have a look there. All right, the community has also gathered here. The community has also gathered here, and I understand. Let's just take a look here. All right. Sorry, all right, I'm told, yeah, this is one of the homes where I'm told where one of, is this where one of the illegal miners stays? Are you saying that? Okay, I'm told from the community. All right, let's just take a look at what is in here. All right, here is it. You can see this is part of what is taken from underground, and clearly all of this has been stored inside here. Noambende, come inside with me. I beg your pardon. Let's take a look inside here.
Come.
All right, clearly you would see from the experience that I have, you'd see that this is some of what is being removed by community members here now. This is what has been taken from underground. Clearly, there is absolutely no dispute with regard to this. He has been removing all of this from this community, from some of these areas here in Sinqobile, where they say these illegal miners are renting properties here. Some of them are also getting on top of these shacks here to try and see if there isn't anything else that has been stored in this particular area. So the community making good on their promise to come to these areas and ensure that those who are involved in illegal mining in this area are removed. They're taking some of this now. They're asking questions about why all of this is now being... this is one of the homes that has been identified as one of the areas where illegal miners are staying. So we're just going to try and come back. Sorry, I'm just going to move away a little bit there. And these are live pictures, of course. This is clearly what has been taken from underground. One of the homes that has been identified by the community where the illegal miners or zamas stay. They're removing everything inside this house at this particular point. Unati, I can certainly tell you they made good on their promise to move to various areas, and what we're also have been showing you is some of the illegal connections in this particular area where electricity is illegally connected to provide some of the power to these underground holes where these zamas have been moving to. I'm going to move towards this area. All right, and take a look here. This is where some of it has been placed at this particular point. So the community going from house to house to various areas where the illegal miners or zamas are believed to be staying. Just very quickly, I know that we're having a bit of a challenge in terms of, there was a cable somewhere here that had been placed on the other side of one of those houses. And everything is basically being dismantled at this particular point, being placed here. If you just take a look inside here, you would be able to see that this is some of the rock that is taken from underground. And house to house, that's what the community is doing at this particular stage. I'm going to hand it back to you, Unati. We're just going to try and sort out some of our technical issues. Take a look at this gas cylinder. This is part of what used underground. So it gives credence a lot to what the community has been saying here. They've taken everything and dismantled a lot of what forms part of the illegality of these operations. So way before police are able to remove this, the community is doing it themselves. They're moving from house to house. Unathi, just give us a second, please. We might need to change a little bit of battery there, battery life, so that we'll be able to continue our broadcast here from Gajiso. Back to you in studio.
All right, Griselda Lewis there and my colleague Neo Mbede giving us blow-by-blow coverage of what is happening there. They were obviously in an area called Sinqobile within Gajiso. Earlier we are speaking to Professor Jaco Barkhuizen. Prof, thank you so much for staying on. So we've been seeing these scenes from this morning where community members are going house to house, confiscating some of these equipment for the illegal mining, also discovering a lot of the stolen cables and electrical wires, etc., to assist them in the illegal mining. Why can't police do this? Where is the intelligence in this? Earlier we were speaking about the government and security cluster. Where are we failing?
That's a good question. Where is crime intelligence? We've been asking this question for a couple of weeks. Where is crime intelligence? This is Women's Month. Last year we had Women's Month. We had incidences. The question was asked, where's crime intelligence? We had the July riots. We asked, where's crime intelligence? The minister and the president on Tuesday is going to say something about gender-based violence. We're going to say something about keeping South Africa safe and fighting crime. But if the security cluster and the government just keep on doing what they're doing, then next year I'm going to sit here, you're going to sit there, and we're going to talk about another horrific crime. We're going to talk about South Africans protesting against crime. And the reason for this is our crime prevention strategy is outdated. Our crime prevention and intelligence strategy is not modern. The way we view crime and the way we investigate crime is not sufficient for the new millennium. We can use technology, but we need a professional, capacitated police force and a working crime intelligence. And currently, it doesn't look like we have a professional police force, and as sure as every indication shows that crime intelligence is not working at the moment.
And one prof would have imagined, that the July unrest would have at least given them a wake-up call in terms of the need for crime intelligence. And I mean, of course, now earlier you were talking about how South Africans are gripped with fear. So now the next question is, are we likely to see such scenes that we're seeing now playing out in other communities as well? We know, of course, the West Rand isn't the only problem, that has these illegal miners.
Well, I don't want to be a doomsayer, but if communities' fears aren't addressed and addressed as soon as possible, the probability of these types of community actions will increase. It's just a given fact. Like I said before, a fearful populace becomes a dangerous populace. And if the government and the police don't actively pursue and try and be there for these communities, this fear will increase, the feelings of abandonment will increase, and communities will lash out. And unfortunately, sometimes the unleashing of rage will be directed at innocent civilians and not criminals. So this is very pertinent that the government just wakes up, the police minister starts doing his job, crime intelligence start doing their job, and the police actually listen to communities, because communities know what goes on around them. They're the best sources for intelligence there is. And it seems like ignoring them will lead to more of this happening.
Of course, the other pertinent question that has been asked, is that, this is almost directed at illegal foreigners at the moment, and that's what community members are focusing on and are dealing with, because this problem has been happening for decades. But once they are arrested, deported, they seem to be making their way back into the country. So now, where is the actual solution? Where does that lie?
Okay, so the actual solution is we should have a modern, capacitated police. We should have a functioning justice system where people that are convicted go to prison or correctional centers. Those that we secure our borders. I mean, it's not a fundamental difficult thing just to make sure that our borders are secure, that the people that are in South Africa are legally here, and those that are legally here do not commit crime, that we have a police that take care of victims of crime and prevent crime from happening, and a criminal justice system that give voice to the victims. We all talk about crime, but remember, for every crime committed, there's a victim and a victim's family. And we keep on forgetting the community is made out of these victims. So that's why they're so rageful. That's why they're so angry, because their victims' needs are being ignored. And this ignoring will lead to more and more explosions in the communities. We have a victim rights charter. We need to follow that. We have a policing charter. We need to update that. But that needs to be done soon. And I mean really, really fast.
Prof, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time here with us this afternoon, giving us that analysis. Professor Jaco Barkhuizen, he's a criminology, head of the Department of Criminology at the University of Limpopo, just giving us his analysis in terms of what we are currently seeing playing itself out in the west of Gauteng at the moment. Well, we wrap the hour for now. We'll be back at the top of the hour. Of course, we are giving you rolling coverage of the Gajiso shutdown. Of course, our reporters are on the ground, and we continue to be in conversation with them and give you the very latest that is happening in Gajiso. Stay with us.
There's more than one way to say, I love you.
There's